Okay, today we're going somewhere that honestly feels like it's from another planet. We're heading to a remote lake in Tanzania that has this truly haunting reputation.
I mean, listen to that. It sounds like something straight out of a myth, right? But this isn't a story. This is a real thing happening right now in East Africa. So how on earth does a lake have the power to do that? And what else could possibly be going on in there? These are the big questions we're going to dive into. We're going to unpack the wild science behind it all and uncover a pretty shocking paradox that's just beneath that blood-red surface. All right, so first things first. That whole turning animals to stone thing, how does that even work? Well, it's not magic, but it is some seriously extreme chemistry. The scientific name for this process is calcification. So when an animal, usually a bird that gets confused by the lake's glassy surface, dies and falls into the water, the lake basically acts like a natural embalmer. The water is so packed with minerals, especially sodium carbonate, that it mummifies the body. It wraps it in this hard, salty crust, which perfectly preserves it. It's kind of creepy, and it's a perfect illustration of just how hostile this water is to most living things. So, what's the deal with this lake? What makes it so chemically intense? To get that, we've got to look at where it is and what's going on in its neighborhood, geologically speaking.
Lake Natron sits right in a geological hotspot, the Great Rift Valley, and its main partner in crime, if you will, is the nearby volcano, Doinyo Lengai. But this is no ordinary volcano. It doesn't spew out normal lava. It erupts this super rare stuff called carbonatite lava, which is unbelievably rich in the exact salts that give the lake its power. You combine that with a scorching hot, dry climate, and you've got the perfect recipe for something extreme.
It really breaks down into a four-step process. First, the volcano deposits all this mineral-rich ash. Then, rain and rivers wash those minerals down into the lake, which, by the way, has no exit. It's a closed system. Third, the relentless sun beats down and evaporates the water, but it leaves all the salts and minerals behind. And over thousands of years, this has turned the lake into this caustic, salty chemical soup.
And just how extreme is it? The pH of the water is usually above 10.5 and can even get up to 12. To put that into perspective for you, that's pretty close to household ammonia or even bleach. It's so alkaline, it can literally burn the skin and eyes of any animal that isn't built for it. So, yeah, this is not a lake you want to go for a swim in.
Now, you'd think that incredible, eerie red color comes from all those minerals, wouldn't you? But nope. The color is actually from something that's alive. We're talking trillions of tiny, salt-loving microorganisms called cyanobacteria. They just thrive in these conditions, and it's their pigments that stain the water all these shades of red and orange. And this biological twist is where the story gets really, really interesting.
Because for all of its deadly, toxic properties, Lake Natron is not a dead zone. Not at all. In fact, it's a bustling, thriving, and absolutely critical paradise for one very specific, very famous species.
And this is the great paradox of Lake Natron. The very things that make it so lethal to most animals are exactly what make it the perfect sanctuary for others. The caustic water keeps predators away, and those little red microorganisms, that's a massive all-you-can-eat buffet. All of this makes the lake the single most important breeding ground on the entire planet for the lesser flamingo.
And when I say important, I mean absolutely critical. This chart really puts it into perspective. A mind-boggling 75%. That's 3/4 of the entire world's population of lesser flamingos depend on this one single lake to survive.
At the height of breeding season, you can find up to 2.5 million flamingos here. It is one of the most stunning wildlife spectacles on Earth, just this vast sea of pink against the deep red water. But how in the world do they do it?
Well, it turns out they've evolved this incredible set of survival tools, like superpowers, really. Their legs are covered in this tough, leathery skin that protects them from the water. Their beaks are these super specialized filters, perfect for scooping up those cyanobacteria. They've even got glands that let them get rid of all the extra salt. And they build their nests on these little salt islands that pop up during the dry season, creating the perfect predator-free nursery for their chicks.
But of course, a unique, fragile paradise like this now faces a very modern kind of threat, one that puts the whole ecosystem and the entire future of the lesser flamingo at risk.
You see, that very same mineral that makes the legs so special, sodium carbonate or soda ash, is also a really valuable resource for us. It's used to make things like glass and detergents and chemicals, and there have been serious proposals to build a massive mining plant right there on the shores of the lake. So this lays out the conflict perfectly. On one side, mining promises a lot of money and jobs for Tanzania, which is a big deal. But on the other hand, conservationists are warning that it would be a complete catastrophe. Pumping the water and changing the lake's chemistry would wipe out the flamingo's food source and completely wreck their safe breeding grounds. It could cause a global population collapse.
So this has kicked off a fight that's been going on for decades, pitting economic development against ecological survival. So what is actually being done to protect this incredible place?
Well, this strategy has a lot of different parts. It involves a lot of advocacy to stop the mining plans, for sure, but it's also about creating other options, things like sustainable, low-impact tourism, empowering the local Maasai people, who have lived there forever, to be the guardians of the land. And of course, tons of ongoing scientific research and monitoring are absolutely key. And this isn't just a local fight. The rest of the world has taken notice. Back in 2001, the lake was named a Ramsar wetland of international importance. It's a designation that basically says, hey, protecting this place isn't just a local issue, it's a global responsibility.
And really, that quote says it all. The fate of this one lake has consequences that ripple out across the whole planet, especially for the survival of one of the world's most iconic birds. The stakes, as you can see, are just incredibly high.
And all of this leaves us with a really tough final question. Lake Natron forces us to face a problem we see all over the world. When a priceless natural wonder is sitting right on top of a valuable economic resource, how do you choose? What does it really mean to balance progress with preservation?